it's done. Hey everybody, hope you are having a lovely evening. The sun finally came out here. We are in a different location today, but that's okay. We're gonna do this anyway. So, one of the first jobs I ever had I should say jobs, because I wasn't really paid, but was actually helping in the lambing barn. I had convinced my dad to keep some of my sheep from 4-H, and we proceeded to breed them. So I was part of the extra, so I got to help with the extra, the rewards and the extra work that came along with it, and that was okay. It was fun. But in that time, I learned a lot of lessons on life, and you're going to want to read the blog for this because there's more details in it. But the biggest lesson I learned actually came about the life cycle and birth. In the barn, sheep are known to have issues, right? That's why I currently have 2 right here. Here's Sweetie, here's our other one. But in the barn, most of the time a ewe will give birth by herself. Animals in general will give birth by themselves. You need to go that way. It's that 5-ish% of the time when they need help. Either the baby's coming a wrong way, whether that's a lamb, calf, llama, whatever. As was the case with Sweetie. She was coming with a leg back. They don't come through very well that way. They can, it just doesn't happen, especially when they were as big as she was. The other time, mom has just tried too long, or she's already had 2 or 3 and she's exhausted and just doesn't have the energy left to push the last one out. So that fine line of knowing when to step in and when to just let nature be. As long as it's warm and the other ewes were leaving them alone, most of the time they were fine until mom got up, cleaned them off, lamb was up and moving, and then we could move them to their private pen. Distinguishing that when normal is happening and when that 5% of the time when they really do truly need help is a little tricky, honestly. But the more you do it, like with anything, the more you begin to realize and see that you recognize when things are off, and you recognize it fairly quickly. And that was just kind of a key that I got to learn. It's really easy to see when a baby's not coming the correct way. Animals tend to come front feet first, then their head. If they're not coming that way, you probably need to watch. They can have it on their own. Like I said, it kind of depends on the size of the baby. I've seen lambs and calves born backwards just fine. That would be a breech in human terms. I've seen them born with one leg back. They gotta be pretty small though. And it's like with anything, the more you see it, the more easily you recognize when things are off. So when I started this, as I came to realize, like, birth is natural. Birth, life, and death, it's all natural. It's part of the natural cycle of life. So when I started having my own kids, it kind of shocked me a little bit. Like, I knew that most people around here, you go to the hospital to have the baby. Which, in animal terms, it'd be like taking your dog who's having puppies to the vet clinic, or taking every sheep or cow to the vet clinic to have their calf or their lamb. It just doesn't happen. So it kind of made me like scratch my head a little bit, like, why is something so natural so medicalized? But it's what everyone was doing, so I didn't really question it at all. I just kind of went along with it. Later, after I'd had my first child, I began to learn about other ways that, no, not everything. People don't always go to the hospital to have their babies. There are other options. There's more natural options where you are just left alone. And what drove me to the decision of how I gave birth to my son, was honestly, I just wanted the same space and respect that I gave all the animals in my care. I just wanted to be left alone. I didn't want somebody constantly monitoring me, touching me, interfering. I just wanted to be left alone. That's what I gave all the respect I gave all my the animals, whether it was cows or lambs or ewes. So why couldn't I have the same respect? So, thoughts from the farm today as we work on getting another lamb going, because sheep do like to die. They have birth quite easily on their own. They have problems after birth though. Come on, get up. So, we will talk to you all later and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy the sunshine while you can.